Highlander, The Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods by Andries. Below.
Screaming, howling, further blood on ancient stones. Echoes of a warrior's cry. Bones beneath the throne, castles shrouded in mist. Ghosts of battles past. Legacy carved in granite, legends built to last. Burning eyes in the night, neath eternal light. Shadows dance with the flame. Highlands scream their name. Steel clashing in the dark, warriors rise and fall. Echoes in the cold wind, answering the call. Ancestors whisper low, secrets lost in time. History.
Episode 5, The Witch's Gift. Duncan took the MacLeod claymore for some reason to train Jacob that day, instead of his katana. Thunder shattered the highland stillness as Duncan and Jacob approached the stone circle, each step carrying the weight of centuries. The earth convulsed beneath their feet, ancient powers stirring in the soil of their ancestors. Storm clouds writhed overhead, transforming twilight into an unnatural darkness that devoured the Scottish hills. The standing stones, weathered colossi that had witnessed 1,000 years of blood and prophecy, began to hum with otherworldly energy. One by one they emerged from the gloom, like giants awakening from slumber, their crystalline structures catching what little light remained and transforming it into ghostly ribbons of blue fire. At the circle's heart stood Duncan MacLeod, his face carved from the same granite as the monoliths surrounding him. The ancestral claymore sang in his grip, its ancient steel drinking in the darkness until the blade seemed to pulse with its own inner light. The weapon knew what was coming. It had tasted immortal blood before. Beside him, Jacob fought to still his trembling hands, the very air around them growing thick with power. When Cassandra materialized from the depths of shadow, her eyes blazing with eldritch knowledge, even the wind fell silent. The stone circle had become a theater of gods, and they were about to perform an ancient ritual that would shake the foundations of their world. She stood before them, eternally youthful, a living paradox of ancient wisdom, wrapped in ageless beauty. Her emerald eyes bore the weight of civilizations risen and fallen, and when she parted her lips, the very stones seemed to resonate with her words.
Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
Her voice wove through the air like silk over steel, a ghost of a smile playing at the corners of her mouth.
The years have carved their stories into your face.
Time leaves its mark on mortal flesh,
Duncan answered, his weathered smile a testament to his words.
I'm grateful you answered the call, Cassandra.
From the lengthening shadows, Methos emerged like a fragment of history made flesh. 5,000 years of survival had taught him caution, and it showed in every measured step.
Think carefully, MacLeod. The ritual Cassandra speaks of, I've seen it performed across millennia. Some who attempted it were consumed by powers they couldn't control. Others.
His voice trailed off, heavy with unspoken horrors. Cassandra turned to face him, and the air crackled with centuries of unresolved fury and betrayal. Yet when she spoke, her words carried unexpected accord.
The transference of power demands its price in blood and spirit,
she acknowledged, causing Methos to narrow his eyes at her unexpected agreement.
But Jupiter's shadow grows longer with each quickening he claims. Soon, there will be no dawn to banish it.
The ritual.
Jacob's voice cut through the electric air, steadier than his racing heart.
What are we truly dealing with?
Cassandra glided to the circle's heart, where ley lines pulsed beneath the earth like ancient veins. Her robes whispered secrets to the soil with each step, stirring memories in the ground that had slumbered for ages.
This magic
She breathed.
was ancient when the pyramids were young. It bridges the impossible, allowing the essence of immortality itself to flow from one vessel to another without the price of death.
Her fingers traced the MacLeod claymore's gleaming edge, and the blade sang softly at her touch.
But such power demands a channel, a bridge between worlds. This sword, baptized in Highland warfare and sanctified by generations of MacLeod blood, will be our bridge across the abyss.
Tell them the true cost, Cassandra.
Methos's voice carried the weight of civilizations he'd watched crumble.
Tell them of those who tried and failed.
Lightning flickered in her eyes as she met his gaze, but truth prevailed over ancient grudges.
The mind was not meant to hold centuries not its own.
She warned, each word heavy as stone.
Some who attempted this were shattered by the torrent of memories, lifetimes of joy and pain flooding their consciousness in an instant. Others
She faltered, dark memories clouding her face.
Others were transformed into beings of pure power, lost between the realms of mortal and immortal, forever haunting the shadows between worlds.
Duncan's weathered hands tightened around the claymore's hilt, ancient steel meeting ancient flesh.
The cost to me, Cassandra? Speak it plain.
Life will remain in your bones,
She answered, her voice carrying both comfort and warning.
but you'll be hollowed, Duncan. 400 years of battlecraft, wisdom, and memory, all will flow from you like water from a broken vessel. The recovery
Her eyes softened with compassion.
will not be swift.
Jacob stepped forward, his young hand joining his father's on the sword that had tasted 3 centuries of Highland battles.
The price is already too high. How many more must fall to Jupiter's blade? How many more quickenings will feed his madness?
I stood in the court of Rameses himself when this ritual was last attempted. The power gained was magnificent, terrible.
His voice dropped to a whisper.
The price was worse. Be absolutely certain this is your path.
We are.
Father and son declared as one, their voices ringing against the standing stones. Cassandra's lips curved in a knowing smile.
Then we pierce the veil.
She intoned, raising her arms to the darkening sky.
But hear me well, once the transfer begins, it cannot be undone. To halt the flow of power mid-ritual would be like damming a river with sand. It would destroy you both.
Night had claimed the Highland hills, and with it came the mists, ancient and otherworldly, coiling between the megaliths like spectral serpents. Cassandra's voice rose in an incantation that predated civilization itself, sounds that mortal tongues had forgotten how to form. The very air grew dense with gathering power, crackling with eldritch energy that made even Methos, who had walked the earth for 5 millennia, feel his skin crawl with primordial recognition. The MacLeod claymore ignited with ethereal flame, azure energy dancing along its ancient steel like lightning trapped in glass. As Cassandra's otherworldly chant crescendoed, the very air seemed to pulse with power, making the standing stones hum in resonance.
Remember,
Duncan's voice strained against the maelstrom of energy flowing through him.
remember our blood, our heritage, our sacred honor. Remember who you are, my son.
Jacob's world exploded into a kaleidoscope of memories, not his own. 4 centuries of life crashed through him like a tidal wave, the clash of steel on Highland battlefields, the bitter taste of loss, the sweet fire of love found and lost across generations. The weight of history threatened to drown his consciousness, each memory a stone dragging him deeper into the abyss of time.
Anchor yourself, Jacob.
Methos's voice cut through the chaos like a blade.
You are Jacob MacLeod. Let the memories flow through you, but do not let them sweep you away.
The power built to impossible heights until reality itself seemed to bend. With a sound like the birth of thunder, the MacLeod claymore, weapon of chiefs, guardian of generations, exploded into a constellation of fragments. Each shard hung suspended for a moment, blazing with captured lightning, before raining across the sacred circle. Duncan collapsed, caught in Methos's ancient arms, while Jacob stood transfixed, wreathed in a corona of ethereal blue light that slowly sank beneath his skin like starlight into deep water. Cassandra steadied herself against a standing stone, exhausted but awestruck.
It is complete, but
Her voice trailed off as she studied Jacob with eyes that saw beyond mortal sight.
the source itself has stirred. Your father's mortality, your miraculous birth, they were only the beginning. Something new walks the earth tonight, Jacob MacLeod. Something never seen in all the ages of immortal kind.
Methos approached Jacob with the caution of one who had learned to recognize power in all its forms across 5 millennia. The air around the young immortal seemed to shimmer with barely contained energy.
What flows through your blood now, Jacob MacLeod?
When Jacob's eyes opened, they blazed with the same indomitable Highland spirit that had made Duncan MacLeod a legend among immortals.
4 centuries unfold before me.
He breathed, his voice carrying echoes of battles long past.
Every sword stroke, every triumph, every scar earned and lesson learned across 400 years of living.
His gaze met his father's with profound understanding.
I see you now, Father, not just as your son, but as witness to every moment that shaped you.
Duncan managed a wan smile, his normally powerful frame drained, but his spirit undiminished.
The legacy is yours now, Jacob. Carry it with honor.
But this is more than mere inheritance.
Cassandra interjected, her voice heavy with prophecy.
The source has not simply transferred Duncan's power, it has forged something entirely new. Your unique nature, Jacob MacLeod, born of an immortal made mortal, has transformed this ancient magic into something unprecedented. Jupiter expects to face a young immortal wielding borrowed power. He will find instead something that has never walked this earth before.
In the days that followed, as Duncan regained his strength in the shadow of the standing stones, Jacob's training intensified. Under Methos's ancient guidance, he moved through sword forms with fluid grace, each motion combining Duncan's centuries of expertise with his own innate power. His blade danced with both inherited skill and something else, something new and terrible in its beauty. Cassandra watched over his education in other arts, teaching him to harness the strange fusion of energies that coursed through him, the transferred might of a Highland warrior melded with the raw power of the source itself. When Jupiter came for them again, he would face not just another immortal, but something entirely new, a warrior born of both ancient power and modern miracle, carrying the strength of the MacLeod line in ways even the source had not foreseen. As Duncan watched his son train, his mortal heart swelled with pride. The MacLeod legacy would continue, transformed but unbroken, ready to face whatever darkness Jupiter would bring.
Castles floating in air.
Highlander, The Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods. Video and voice done with Infinity AI. Research done using Claude AI.